This conference will now be recorded.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, so we are at this particular point, right? So we were doing long press for certain amount of time, and then we are just releasing and performing on it. So the next thing we are gonna see today is to drag and drop and some other advanced. I mean, scrollable is something which, I mean, scrolling the page down to the required text is something that we're going to see today. Drag and drop, and also the I was showing you, right, the clock moving from one position to the other position is what we're going to see today. So we are done with long press. Let's go with that swiping, which is the example. In our example it is clock. So I just want to get rid of this. I'll comment this particular code, which I no more want this, or else for synchronization things they should work well. They should be good. Let's create a complete flow with this advanced gestures. So as usual, we just need to launch our emulator, which we have created a batch file, and then we were doing it. uh, the second thing is what happened? Something wrong with this device. Let me relaunch this. I'm not sure. So in this case, the only option that has been available with us is to launch Android Studio and cold boot this. We are okay. Now I got this got stabilized now. Okay, this should be fine. I'm closing this Android Studio. So let me quickly run this to see whether we were successful with this particular flow or not. So I'm running the existing flow that we have created, which is like clicking, I mean doing a long press on a button using touch actions. So okay, so we haven't started Appium, so let's get started with Appium as well. So I started Appium, and now we are actually we will be able to run that particular flow we have created. So the whole concept right now is yesterday we created a reusable component to click on any kind of text view. So to that method, click on text view, we just need to pass the parameter, uh, and then we were just performing this long press on this particular button, right? So that's all what we were actually doing yesterday. So from here, where I have to come back is I just need to press this button 3 times, the back button, and then uh, we have to click on date widgets, and then we have to click on inline. So that's the flow we have to construct, and then we have to actually uh, move this pointer from one location to the other location. All right, so that's what we're gonna uh, yeah, do now. So what is the command to navigate back?
Driver dot navigate dot back.
Driver dot navigate dot back, right? So this is something that we have to actually use n number of times, right? So instead of that, we could simply do it this way. So public static, um, I would say navigate back, and then int saying number of navigations, and here I'll just public static void. So here for I'll just create an if loop so that I could reuse it whenever I need it. I should be less than the number of navigations, a plus plus, else you could make it as 1, and then you could make it as less than or equal to. So here we just need to get this code and place it inside this. So simply you could call this navigate back, and we need 3 times, right? So this brings our control to this particular step. So we go to views, so we will be here now, right? So here we have to click on date widgets. So for clicking on date widgets, we already have a function to click on any text view. So just look at how simplified the code is looking right now. So we doesn't need to get anything. Instead we are just calling a particular method and passing some parameter to it. So earlier we used to identify the element properties and then doing different kinds of identifications and finding out and writing driver.find element. All that stuff went away now. We are just simply doing uh, a method call, and we are passing a parameter to that. So right now what we would like to pass now to this is we have to pass date widgets, right? So go to date widgets, widgets. So this is what this is gonna click on date widgets, and then here is where we have to click on inline. Again, we could use the same method call. Instead of date widgets, we will be calling inline, right? So replace date widgets with inline. That's all. So here, this completes our flow, the required flow. So we will be launching onto this particular place now. Let's quickly run this and see the output, whether the flow what we are trying to automate is successful till this point or not. Run as Java application. So we are navigating back thrice and we are clicking on inline. Okay, so the reusable components are so much powerful that it can reduce the code drastically, and also they can improve the automation process much faster. You always need to concentrate on bringing up a reusable component for a particular screen. Let's suppose for this particular screen, uh, let's say if I say the if I want to move this liner from 12 to 3, so I need to create a component so that the inputs to that to be 12 and 3. In other case, if I want to move this from 12 to 4, my inputs has to be 12 and 4. The rest all has to be taken care by the reusable component. What I mean to say is I need to create a method which accepts two inputs. One is the source from where we need to drag or move the blob from the source to the destination, right? So let me go to views, date widgets, inline. So I want to move this blob from 12 to 3. or 12 to 4, 12 to 5. The input, I mean the source to the destination or starting point to the end point are user inputs. So it doesn't matter what inputs to you give to that particular component. It should handle all kinds of inputs. Let's suppose the user says to move this block from 12 to 4. Your reusable component should be able to do that. If I pass it as 12 and 6, it should drag from here to here. So that's how you should be able to create a reusable component with this particular things. I mean, for any screen. Look at this. It's as simple as we created a function. So now pass any kind of value from any kind of screen. It is handling that particular component. So date widgets is on different screen, inline is on different screen, but still we are just passing them as attributes, and this function is doing the action which is required for us. In this case, it is a button click. So that's how you have to actually concentrate on developing a reusable component for a particular screen. Whatever screen it is, just try to think in developing towards developing a particular reusable component. If that is not possible, there is no other alternative. We just need to go with the usual development process, but look for the possibility of developing a reusable component. If yes, go ahead and develop reusable component. Don't write a general script in that case. It may take some time for first few steps, but later it reduces time a lot, which you already have witnessed now. So now, earlier, if you have to click on 2 to 3 buttons, we have to go. We have gone to inspector, identified that element, you got that properties, identify the unique properties, brought them back to the IDE, and gave those properties, and then we are performing actions on it, right? So now we are not even opening the inspector. We are not doing anything. Instead, we are just calling that function and passing that as an attribute. That's how a reusable component has to be designed, and that's effect when you use it effectively. It's when you develop it effectively, you could use it effectively, and it saves a lot of time for us. And now let's see both the approaches. Right now, the concentration for us is to know how to actually uh, perform this operation on the mobile device. Then we will actually make that as a reusable component, and we will try to test that. Okay, the first thing you have to understand is you have to move this blob from 12 to 3, right? So from here to here, you have to move the blob. That's your target now. So for the second time, you're getting a second attributes from the starting point to the end point. That's a different story. Let's concentrate only on the hours now, and then we will move back to that. So let's open the inspector because we need the identifiers for each of these elements over here. So this 12 is an element, 3 is an element, 4 is an element is what I inspect, but the actual how this screen actually duplicates or reflects is something what inspector says to us. Let's open inspector and connect to this. Then you will be able to, I mean, we will be able to understand how the objects have been arranged in this particular page. We know saving capability is again this much usable. So whenever you want to actually connect to a particular device, when you save the capabilities, you could just simply click on it and click on edit, and you'll get all those things onto the screen right away. You doesn't need to wait or create all these parameters every time you launch inspector. So these are all best practices and saves a lot of time to us for us. So I started inspector now, and I should be able to connect to my screen, right? So now I'm on. I need to redirect to date widgets. So on inline, my interest is this particular screen for next few minutes. So I just try to inspect different elements on the screen. So if you look at this, just hover on this. So everything is coming up as an object. And what is the tag name of these objects?
Class
Yeah. So this is gonna be the class name. The class name would be the tag name. But we are not interested to use this long tag name, so we will just mark them as star. But I just want to understand the difference between the one on which the blob is right now and the one which doesn't have the blob on it. So if you go ahead and see different things over here, like 11 is not. something on which the blob is right now, but 12 is something on which the blob is currently present. Okay, so if you look at this, for 12 you got selected is true, right? Whereas for 11 selected is false, for 10 selected is false. If you take any other number on that particular clock, you'll get the property selected as false. Okay, so this tells me the property selected tells me what is actually been selected right now, or what is the source which got selected, right? So now the blob is on 12, so I need to move from 12 to a different number, right? So that's my whole criteria over here. So let's break it as step by step and let's try to find out each and everything one after the other. So first, my intention, I mean, the first step of this particular flow is to identify the position of the blob. Okay, so whether it is on 12, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, we have to get that element. Okay, and you should be able to know like this is the place where the blob is right now, and from there you want to move to a different position, whether it is 3 or 4 or something. So let's automate the step one. So the step one is you have to identify, or you have to find out the element on which the blob is right now pointed or selected. So I'll construct an XPath this way. Okay, so I'll take the parent. Under the parent, I'll say selected as true. Okay, which gets me the output. Let me tell you this. The way that I'm constructing the XPath to get the blob current position. So what I'm gonna do is get the parent XPath. Under the parent XPath are at the rate ID is equal to, this is my ID. Under this, I have only one element with property selected as true. Under this parent, we have many number of child elements, but out of all these child elements, we have only one matching element where selected is equal to true. So I'll use this property selected is equal to true. Sorry. I'll use this property selected and the corresponding value as true to get the value on or get to get the position of the blob or the selected position of a particular number. So this particular XPath tells me what is the current position of the blob, okay, or where the pointer is currently pointed to. So if I say XPath and click on search, could not find elements. Why? Anything wrong? Selected is equal to true. Okay, so now you could see, but here it may not have worked, but I hope even if you give ID, it works in the script. It may not be, I mean, it's not working with inspector, but it will work with script. So let's give it a try, but that's not our interest. So we got the actual element on which is right now selected, right? So with this particular XPath gives us the element which is currently got selected. Okay, so I'm copying this XPath and I'm gonna use it in my script. So driver dot find element by dot XPath, and we construct an XPath to find out the current selected number in that particular clock. So this is, I'll call it as web element. So web element currently selected. So this gives me the currently selected number uh, on the clock. So if I sys out this, what I'm going to get is currently selected dot. So if I have to get this value, which is 12 in this case, what should I mean, if this identifies this particular object, if I have to get this content description out of these properties, how could I do that?
Get
Get
attribute.
dot
Text.
get
Get text,
Yeah.
dot get attribute.
right? So text is something which is empty over here, right? It's not tagged with text anymore. So right now the value is currently in 12. So we have to use get attribute and content description. So that's like dot get attribute, and what is the attribute that we are trying to retrieve, which is content description. So now we should be able to get, so we are just printing out this value just to make sure we are getting the right object. We just need object because dragging and dropping or moving this cursor, this is similar like swiping is another way of dragging and dropping, right? So we are swiping from the source to the destination. Okay, we need to know where the source is, and we need to know, I mean, we also need to point out to which destination you have to actually move this or swipe this particular block. So that's our interest. So let me just try to run this and see if this is currently working or not. And the expected output in this case is we should be able to print it as 12, right? So right click, run as Java application. So you should be able to actually see that operation happening. So the expected output in step 1 is you should be able to see that number 12. So we are getting it exactly. We got 12, right? So the next thing is I want to move it to position 6 now. Okay. So for that, what I have to do is I have to identify the element to which I have to move that pointer to. So I'll say destination clock hours destination, something that is our interest. So instead of selected is equal to true now, I need to make it as content description because that is an unique property available for each and everything. So the content description now would be 6, right? So my destination is 6. So under this parent, which is the whole clock, I'm looking for an object whose content description is 6. Content description is 6 will be for the number 6 in that particular clock, right? So even if you go ahead and observe this, for each and every element, its value is being embedded in an attribute named as content description. So here is where this could be considered as a unique parameter, even if you could see the XPath is constructed with content description as 2, right? So for the 3 it is 3, for 4 it is 4, so for 6 it would be 6. So I constructed an XPath with content description as 6. Now we need to construct something, and we should be able to move the clock position from selected to the new destination one. So now comes the real code on how to actually move or swipe that particular clock button from source to destination. Again, for that we're gonna use T, which is touch actions dot. So what I have to do, I have to long press on it, right? So its sequence of actions would be, if you talk it in terms of just plain English language, it it is something like this. What I am doing over here, I'm doing a long press on this, and I'm moving to the destination, and then I'm releasing and performing. Perform is nothing but um, performing the sequence of actions being constructed by these touch actions. So that's whole point of understanding this. So long press this 12 and then move to a particular destination and release there. That's what I am doing, right? So we have every method available for what we have spoken right now. So for long press, the expected options are long press options, right? So long press options are something that we have to pass it over here. We have seen it yesterday, right? Dot long press options will get an instance of that long press class dot with element wants element options, right? Element options dot element, that element we have to pass our source, right? So on which we want to do a long press, the long press has to be done on the one which is currently selected, right? Control C and Control V. So whenever you are doing a long press, you want to do for a particular amount of time, right? So I would say with duration, sorry, it should come inside, right? Dot with duration. Duration acts is expecting a parameter called as duration. So just type duration dot 2 seconds of, sorry, of seconds, and I want to uh, do a long press on it for 2 seconds, right? So you don't actually need to remember everything. The only thing that you have to remember is long press. So once you know long press, it tells you what options it requires. Just enter that dot and you will see all the options, and they are self-explanatory. After that, after doing a long press, what I have to do, I have to move this to a particular position, right? So I want to move this to, why only this is coming, move to element options dot element, and this is the destination that I want to actually move the element to. And after, I'm doing a long press and moving to the destination element, and then there I'm releasing it. And perform is a common step that you have to call, because you are constructing a sequence of actions, and then you want to actually perform all those steps which are constructed till that point. So we're doing a long press, and to the long press we need to pass long press options. This is to construct an instance of, or to get an instance of long press options. With element is a method to which you could which expects element options dot element. So this actually or indicates the whole element, and then you want to do the long press for 2 seconds, and there you are moving it to the destination, which is clock hours destination. In our case it is 6, and then I'm doing a release and I'm doing a perform. So this will actually This should actually do our requirement or suffice our requirement, execute our requirement. Let's see if this is working fine or not. Again, you don't need to actually remember everything. The only thing that you have to remember is long press and move to. The rest all options you would actually understand when you use that control space auto suggestion options. You're doing, and from 12 to 6 you're actually trying to move this object from 2, right? So now it moved, you have seen that, right? It moved from 12 to 6. That's the reason you're getting it as 6. That is how you want to actually automate this particular stuff. And now let's change this to reusable component, and let's see how wonderful it looks like. So this is same, right? This is looking like the same, the earlier sequence, only the difference is the numbers. Here we have 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. There you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you develop a reusable component, here the input would be 6. When it comes to this particular space, the input would be like 30, 35. But the same function would be able to handle both the clocks. Okay, let's just see how that works. So I'm moving this
So,
particular code.
so I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So on the clock, when you move it to 6, why is it not staying on 6? It's moving, going back to a different position, right? It should stay there, right? No?
No,
Or
it's
that's how
staying there,
that
right?
works.
It's not.
No,
No, it's
no, when you
staying, but
release,
it's moving to like minutes. The moment you
ah,
selected,
okay,
the moment you move 12 to 6, it's going to 15. So here you will see the updated value.
okay.
So that's the reason you're seeing it as 15. It's not actually the hours, it is staying at 6 only. When you come over here, you could see it is on 6. You will see that when we actually run it next time. So I'm creating a reusable component for this. Void handle clock swipes is my method. This particular method, the only you know the only input would be the um, destination clock hours or minutes or whatever it is. Clock destination, I'll say. So this is only the parameter that we have to pass. And the set of code that we have to actually put inside this is this particular part of code. Okay. This will automatically gets the currently selected value, and this will give us the destination, and this will perform that drag and drop. Okay, so I'll try to pass this instance to, okay, let's get this instance to from this. So we got rid of this error, which is t, or else you could even move this outside. No, that's not possible. So now we are passing touch actions, which is the object to perform this advanced gestures, or to perform these gestures, the instance of touch actions, and the destination. Now we have hard coded this. Now we need to change this to um, like change this with this particular parameter, which is log destination. So now we constructed dynamic XPath, to which we are actually passing the value of the destination, which is an unique identifier for that particular destination button. Everyone is able to follow, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh,
Sir,
uh-huh.
sir, for a sequence of action, you should, I mean, we should use the build, right? I mean, it is no need to use build here.
No, only perform will do that stuff.
Okay, sir.
Okay. With touch actions, you just need to call perform. With actions, you have to call build.perform. That's with Selenium. So now we got clock destination. Using that value, we constructed a dynamic XPath, and then we are performing the drag and drop option. So now I'll call this particular method over here. And to this method, I would say the first option would be the T, which is the instance of the touch actions, and the other option is 6. That's all. So now if I run this particular code now, you could see the output. Let me add some sleep after this. Anyways, it goes back to minutes immediately. It won't wait on the screen. That's an app functionality. You wouldn't see, only you would see the value getting updated here. Just observe, initially the clock state will be 12, so it looks like 12. After moving this, it's immediately going to minutes, so it's not in our control. It's app future, but the only thing that you'd see is an updated value over here, and you could even validate this stuff whether it is equal to what we have passed or not. So let me quickly run this and show you how it actually works. So now we are launching our app. Views executable list. So that is advanced gestures number 1 inline, and now we are trying to move this 12 to 6. We moved it to 6 and we stopped it. I mean it reloaded. I mean it loaded the next screen, which is for minutes, right? So the flow got executed successfully, and we would see that 6 got coming over here instead of 12, which is earlier. Now if I want to change it to a different value, let's say I would like to change or move it to 9. I'm not even changing any XPaths. I'm not changing any part of code, but only the input parameter that I'm passing is changed. So if I actually do this particular run again, just look at that. So instead of 6, it moves the clock to 9 now. That's a synchronization issue. Did I enter something wrong? Okay. So now you saw that, right? So it moved from 12 to 9. Why we got this? We ran it as coverage, I guess so. Windows show view. Anyone know how to get rid of this? We ran it as coverage. To clear the coverage, we have some option. I forget that. All right, yes, this is fine. Now we will use the same function, and now we will handle the minutes. Okay. So I'm calling the same function. Instead of 9, I'm passing 30 now. So it should be able to handle the minutes as well now, hours and minutes. So initially it moves from 12 to 9, and then it moves from 15 to 30. So we use the same function, but we are handling two different screens. That's that's what we are doing now. So let's see if that gets successful or not. So now we need to move to 9. So you could change that, just the number that you're passing, and here we are trying to move it from 15 to 30. Okay, so we got the same function, and we are doing multiple actions on different screens. One is on the hours and the other one is minutes. So even if you have a third clock, you could do that too with the same reusable component. If the same kind of uh, clock is there on a different screen, on different on a different tab, you could use the same function too if it has the same attributes and values. So that's how you could do swiping, and you could also validate this. I hope you could do that. It's just an uh, getting the text or value or attribute out of this and comparing this with the value that you're passing. It's just normalization. You would be able to do that. So this is how we handle scrolling. Okay, and drag and drop also comes on the similar lines. It's also like holding or doing a long press on the source and moving it to the destination and releasing it over there. That's how drag and drop is, right? So let's also complete that stuff, which won't be any more different. Okay, um, so let's go to the app now. Go to views. We have drag and drop. So here, from this source to the destination, I should be able to move like this. Okay, that's all I have to do. Back, drag and drop. So we need to identify the source and the destination now, and we should be able to drag and drop this particular object. I don't know whether we are able to drag this. So in this case, go back to your inspector, close the existing one, start a new session. Views, drag and drop. So now we should be able to identify the source and destination things. So drag dot 1 and the other one is drag dot 2, drag dot 3, drag dot 4. So the whole intention now is we want to move this drag dot 1 to drag dot 2. So we should be able to do that stuff. That's the only thing. So identify the source and destination and implement the same thing. Okay, let's go ahead here. I will say web element source dot is equal to driver dot find element I dot xpath, something like contains at the rate resource id comma, and the value of it is drag dot 2 or drag dot 1. Let's suppose this is drag dot 2, this is drag dot 1, which is like source for us. And also get the destination dot. So the destination dot would be drag dot 2. Again, for doing a drag and drop, the code would be the same. Doing a long press and then move to an element, dot release and perform. T dot long press requires long press options. Dot get an instance of it. Dot with element. What's that element? Element with element requires element options. Dot with element. Dot element, which should be the source dot. So this is the source, right? Dot move to element options. From the source, we are moving it to the destination. Dot element and destination dot release dot perform. Okay. So this should complete the requirement. Right click, run as Java application. Now we stopped in the screen. We need to go back twice. The failure is just because we have written the code but we haven't handled the navigation. So from here we need to navigate twice, navigate back twice, and then here we have to click on drag and drop. Have to click on drag and drop. Drag and drop, right? So this is how we could do drag and drop. You have seen that action, right? So that's all about drag and drop. With this, we are good with advanced gestures, where we covered tapping, doing a long press, doing swiping, and dragging and drag and drop. So all the functions that you do on in your day-to-day basis falls under these particular categories. Okay. So the next important thing is scrolling and clicking on an element. Okay. So now if you see, we have a very big list. Okay. And to click on any of these buttons, we are just calling click on view, text view, drag and drop, right? So that's what you're doing. Let me create a new class for understanding this particular scrolling, and I'll get all these methods over there for simplicity. So I'll say scrolling. What is the shortcut to get all the shortcuts?
Control
Control
Shift L.
Shift L.
Yeah. So I'm getting this driver things. Static Android driver. Then I want to click on views. So let me get this method, which is like very useful for us. Getting this method pasted over here, and I'll use this method to click on views. So this opens the app, and I need to click on views. So for that, I'll just pass views to this. So I have to click on views. Once I clicked on views, let's suppose I have to click on drag and drop. What should be my code right now? We just have seen, right? What we have written to click on this drag and drop?
Instead of views, we have to send drag and drop to the
Okay.
same function. Click on text view.
Yeah. So for click on text view, we are passing drag and drop earlier, right? That's how it is working. Now, if I
Yeah.
have to click on this particular thing, which let's say text clock, what should be my code?
Expecting the same, and we have to submit text clock as input to click on text view.
Right. So we expect this should work, right? So we developed a reusable component which is getting all the elements, which is getting all the text views. Out of this text view, we want to click on text clock. So I'm passing that value, which is text clock, and I'm saving this. Let's just give it a try and see if this is working or not. If not, we should be able to understand why it is not able to actually click on it. So let's see the first step, whether the code that we have developed and what we are expecting to work is working or not, is something what we're going to see now. So it is clicking on views, but then it got stopped. It haven't clicked on text clock. Okay. So why it is not clicking on text clock?
Not visible.
Yes, it is not on the screen, but before that, let's just try to debug it and see how what is that we are actually getting and why it haven't thrown us any error. Neither it's not actually clicking on it. So let's see what is actually happening with the function that we have developed. So I'm running this in debug mode. Debug as Java application. So we are clicking on we sorry we just need to bypass this because our interest is with text clock only. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll stop this. Instead of putting a breakpoint over here, I'll put a breakpoint over here and then I'll switch into it. Debug as Java application. So it opened clocks. Now I'm doing a step into and doing a step over again, and just have a look at this preference page now. The number of elements that are there in the preference page is something which should be our interest. If I inspect this, look at this, we have got 14 elements. Okay, it retrieved 14 elements matching the property that we have given. The property that we passed is Android widget text view, right? So let me go back to that screen again. So from this screen, with the value that we are passing, which is Android widget or Android widget text view, it is returning as 14 elements. Look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. It is returning as only the elements that are there on the screen. Even the other parameters or the other options that are there in this particular screen will have the um, same properties, which is Android widget text view, but it is not able to get those parameters. It's just getting whatever that is visible on the screen. But in some cases, it gets us all the elements, not only the 14, it gets us all the elements. Again, it depends on app to app, how the app is being developed. But in this particular case, we are not actually able to click on the button which we are actually intended to click on. So for handling these kind of scrollings, if you want to scroll and then do perform an action, we have a different kind of syntax in Appium. So let's see how it actually works on. So this is no more working, so we cannot use it anymore. So for that, the syntax would basically looks like this: driver dot find element Appium by, we have seen Appium by 2 dot Android UI automator. Okay. So to this Android UI automator, which is expecting UI automator text. Okay, it's not an identifier, it is UI automator text. What is this UI automator text is? So it is something like this. For scrolling an element, we need to create an instance for a class called as UI scrollable. And to this UI scrollable class, we have to pass another instance of UI selector. Okay. And once that is passed, on scroll UI scrollable, we have a method called as scroll into view. Scroll into view. Okay. To this, we just have to pass the text of the element which you, or text of the button that you actually want to click. So that needs to be passed in double quotes like this format. So the one that I want to click right now is text clock, right? So this is the syntax for doing scrolling on the element. This is something which you have to actually remember. So UI scrollable, UI selector. So you need to create an instance for UI scrollable, and to that UI scrollable you have to pass the instance of UI selector. On UI scrollable, we have a method called as scroll into view, which accepts text as the parameter, and the value of the text or value of the button text is something that you have to pass it over here, which will automatically do scrolling and gets that element onto view, into view, like then you can perform a click on it. So now if you actually do this particular stuff, let's see if this works or not. Right click, run as Java application. So we're clicking on views, and then it is actually dragging and bringing that button onto view, and then it is clicking on it. Okay, so that is how this particular UI scrollable will work on. So this is something which you have to remember. There is no other option. But a catch over here. Again, can we create a reusable component? Static void click, scroll and click is something I could say. Scroll and click. Into this, I just need to pass option to click. And I'll pass this whole method into that. X Control V. What I'll do is I'll just make this as static part. The static part as dynamic part. Control C, Control V. And what I'm going to do is I'll use this method and pass that value. Right click, run as Java application. So it's scrolling till it is visible and it is clicking on it, right? So even you could replace this method with this method now, which became more effective. If scroll is there, it handles that and clicks on it. Even we could do that using, we can even click on views using the same method, which is like more effective right now. Even if the button is not visible, if scroll is been added, if the screen size is less, automatically the button will not comes into visible. So we need to scroll and then we have to click on it. So you see the same function is working for views and text block. So this is more powerful when you're handling scrollings and clickings on particular button. You just need text of the button, nothing else to be passed. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Clear for everyone? Any questions? Hello. All right. So let's move on to the next important kind of app that we have discussed. So what are different kinds of apps on Android on mobile devices? First day we discussed, right?
Native, hybrid, and web app.
Yeah. So now we are good with hybrid, native apps. We covered almost everything on that app which is required. Uh, Now we will be moving on to the web apps. How to actually automate browsers on mobile devices is what we will be actually seeing today. So for that, you don't need inspector to when you are trying to automate any of the web applications. You could get rid of this inspector from now onwards. All right. So let's see. So this is the Chrome, which is a browser, and inside this browser, I want to automate something. How do I actually do that? And how to, the first step again is when you want to automate something, the first important thing would be how to actually identify the elements inside that particular page, web page or app or whatever it is. We should be able to identify the elements first. That's going to be the first step, right? So on mobile devices, when you want to identify the elements, this is how you could do. Okay, so do Control Shift I or open the developer options. Here there is a button you could see. This is like when you disable this, it's like normal web page. When you enable this, you could see this on as a mobile device. Like we have many kinds of mobile devices available over here. I mean, the different views that are available, and you could actually look how your app looks on a particular kind of device. So you could select different screens and you could see how it is actually looking. So iPad Air and all these things. So this is just an view. Okay, let me open Flipkart. Maybe that's a good example. Like I say, open Flipkart now. Let's inspect the search box over here. I don't want this. Let's inspect the search box over here. So it has property name is equal to Q. Okay, so which is the same as when I disable this on the web page, again the property would be the same, which is name is equal to Q. All right, so but it's not in sync with what I'm seeing, right? On my mobile device, I have I have nothing launched. I have, let's suppose I want to launch Amazon. Okay, so now Amazon has been launched. We have search box over here, we have this button over here. Now Chrome provided a feasibility for us to actually inspect the elements directly on the fly. You doesn't actually need to use any kind of inspectors and all. So Chrome has that capability. Go to your Chrome and just type uh, Chrome, which is an extension, Chrome / inspect and devices. Okay? So this will capture all the devices that are being connected to your machine or to your system, whether it is an emulator, simulator, or whether it is real Android device. All those devices which got connected to your particular system will be shown in this particular on this particular URL, which is Chrome inspect devices. When I click on this, you would see a screen like this, and something gets loaded in few seconds. It takes few seconds to get loaded, but it got loaded. So this says, okay, this says there is a remote target on the local host and its name is emulator 5554, and there is a Chrome instance running on it, and the version of that is, and the version of Chrome driver on that particular app is the version of Chrome. You know how to actually get the version of that, right? So if you go to not help, it's like settings, I believe. Settings, and if you go down, you would see about Chrome. This says like the version of the Chrome which has been currently installed on your machine, which is like, as I installed some old version, it is 69.0.3497.100. The same is being displayed over here as well. Okay, and also it is also showing the URL which has been currently opened, Amazon Luna cloud gaming service. That is what which has been opened on this particular device. So if you want to inspect any of the elements on this particular device, you just have to click on inspect. So the moment you click on inspect, it gets us a window which will be in sync with your mobile device. Let me move on to some other page. So just look at how fast it is. It's actually getting automatically loaded. Whatever we are doing on this particular screen, that has been actually replicated on this particular DevTools, Chrome DevTools. Okay, so now using this particular window, we will be actually identifying different elements on our mobile device or on the Chrome browser on the mobile device. It's as simple as that. So when we are using inspector, what we have done, when you reload something or when you do something on your emulator, you just need to click on refresh. Till then it's not actually getting connected. Okay, but it's like automatically it gets automatically reloaded on this device. So here if you want to inspect something, it's as simple as clicking on this and go to the element that you want to actually trying to inspect and get the attribute and attribute values and construct an XPath or use some other selector, whether it is ID or whatever it is. But the whole interest here right now to us is how to actually identify the elements on mobile devices or browsers or Chrome browser or whatever browser it is, right? So this is how we identify the elements in mobile devices. Okay, so now we got the properties of this, and if you want to get the properties of the search button, you could do that. Here it is, type is equal to submit. The second question is, let me actually open this on mobile device on normal plain. um, I'm opening it in plain browser. Okay, the plain browser looks something like this, which is different from what we are seeing on the mobile device. But again, this is not the same. Okay, let's go to the home page. Let's see how it looks like on the home page. At least let's see the search button, whether on the, even we are using the same URL, but the web page mm, on desktops is different to the web page that you're actually seeing on the mobile devices, right? So but this button would be the same. Let's look at whether the properties of these buttons is same on mobile device and Android devices. If both are same, why to actually use this again this dev tools directly, get the properties from here, right, and use them. So if they are different, we should be actually do the other stuff what we are doing right now. So just look at the properties now. It has type is equal to input, type is equal to submit. Here it is type is equal to text. So are you observing something? Are they different or same? They are completely different, right? Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the reason you cannot rely on desktop websites to identify the elements when you're automating something on mobile devices. So the only way to actually do that is you have to go to that Chrome, inspect devices URL, and open the particular URL that you are actually trying to find out or trying to find the objects for, and use those to identify those objects. Okay, it's like very simple terminologies and very simple procedure to actually get the elements for browsers on mobile devices. Let's suppose I launch a different tab now. Instead of Amazon, I want to launch Flipkart over here as well. How does that look like? So I got a new tab, this one. Look at this, we got a new tab. It's taking slight amount of time, but it gets loaded. So we should be able to see Flipkart now. Look at this, we got this Flipkart, and if you want to inspect your elements on this, click on inspect, so that the Flipkart will get loaded, that this particular tab will get loaded, which will be in sync with your mobile device. And if you click on anything, this gets automatically reloaded. This is how you will inspect elements in mobile devices. Now go to anything and get the properties. Just use it like how you use that in Selenium. It's as simple as that. Is that clear?
So if I need to
Yes,
use
sir.
any other browser, Firefox or um, Safari, I mean, how do you do it?
Firefox and Safari, you will see a different kinds of apps like you are seeing Chrome, right? So similarly, you will see Firefox under this. Okay, Opera, if it is Opera, you would see a different kind of option under this. Like below the Chrome, you will see something like this, and you should be just using that particular thing. I'll show you an example for one of the other browsers. Okay, uh, once we get some knowledge on how to actually connect to this Chrome browser, and then we will just see how to actually inspect the elements on other browsers too. I don't think I have any other things installed right now. I don't have any other browsers installed right now, but definitely I'll get this installation done. I'll get the APK file, try to install that and see. I'll show you that for Opera in the next session. Okay. So till now, right now we are just concentrating on. Let's concentrate on Chrome. I'll show you the some other Opera browser tomorrow. But are we good with this till now? Is that clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now the next step would be to see how to actually connect to this browser from your code. Okay. So now let me close these classes, and now I would like to automate the browser app. Say class, name of this class would be web app automation. So when you want to actually connect to a browser, so app is specifically for a particular APK file, right? So we are not actually dealing with any kinds of apps. We are moving to browsers. Browsers doesn't need this app. Okay. So we need platform name because we want to connect with Android platform. So we need to pass this. We need to pass the automation name because this is the framework which is being used by the mobile device to connect to a particular device. I mean to actually communicate. Appium server communicates with mobile device using this particular framework. And we also need the device name too. Device name is because to identify our device. So other than app, we need all other parameters. So let's copy everything and remove that particular unnecessary part. Copy this, move here and paste it here. Okay. I'm getting rid of this particular part which is not needed for browsers. Now instead of that, we have to specify what is the browser name, or what kind of browser you want to check out with, whether it is Chrome or Edge or Firefox or whatever it is. So for that, what we could do is we have to set the capabilities, mention that to the Appium server. So for that, capabilities.set capability, and here if you go to mobile capability type dot browser name. Okay? So browser name is something that you have to add. And what would be the browser name? Browser name would be the Chrome. So that is what we are trying to connect to, right? So we are trying to launch the Chrome browser. So we passed it as Chrome. Next important thing is Do we need any drivers to communicate it uh, with browsers from your Selenium knowledge?
Will it be the WebDriver?
Yeah, we need a driver, right? WebDriver to communicate with the browsers. Even when we are doing some automation with mobile browsers, we need WebDriver to actually establish that communication. Okay, so because the browsers need WebDriver, and uh, as it is a mobile device, we need UI automated too as well. So we also need to specify the driver path to this particular uh, to actually establish or to automate the browser name. So from Selenium, we have learned that we need drivers to actually automate, or the drivers are the ones which are responsible to perform something on the browser. If it is Chrome driver, we have if it is Chrome browser, we have Chrome driver. For Firefox, we have checkout driver, and all these things. So we have different drivers for different versions of Chrome, and the version of Chrome that we have right now is, to check the version of Chrome, you just need to go to settings and scroll down, and you will see this Chrome version, which is 69.0.3497.100. So we need to get the relevant Chrome driver downloaded into our machine, and we have to give that path as an executable, or the Chrome driver path. Okay, so let's get this downloaded first. Download Chrome driver executable. WebDriver for Chrome. So here the latest version is 111. To get some older versions, you could scroll down, and right now our version is 69, right? So scroll down, you could see something like 69. You could go ahead and use 2.44. 2.45 is for Chrome version 70 to 72, but you should be able to download 69. 69 to 71 is for 2.44. Here you are not seeing any link over here, but to download this, this is something which I have done. The link is removed. I mean, something like, not sure why the link is not getting over here. I didn't research much on it, but so you need to get 2.43 downloaded for your Chrome to work, right? That's the desirable WebDriver. So for that, what I could do is go here, instead of 46 in this URL, replace 46 with 43 and click on enter, so that you'll get this 2.43. Download this as a zip file because I'm on Windows. So I downloaded this zip file, show all, show in folder, extract this, extract, and use this path as when you're actually passing the Chrome driver executable. How do you pass the executable file path when you're automating with Selenium? Let's not talk about WebDriver Manager, WebDriver Manager, Chrome driver
Set
setup.
property, sir.
Otherwise, mhm.
Sir, using set property.
Yeah, system.setProperty, webdriver.chrome.driver is what we will pass, right? But here we have a different kind of thing that we have to do. So you have to say capabilities dot set capability. In the capabilities, when you say mobile type, you don't see anything related to Chrome. Okay, just Chrome, and you won't see anything. Okay, but you have something called as Android mobile capability type dot. Here you will see Chrome driver executable. Okay, so Chrome driver executable, you have to use this as the capability name, and the value should be the path of that particular value, particular one which you have. just copy paste it, right? Get this path where you downloaded your executable, copy this, paste it here, and this is the one which you have to actually try to inspect. Control C and paste it here, which is control V.exe. So that's pretty much you have to do. And now you could use all the methods that are available with Selenium. Show more options, properties. Okay, so this should open the Chrome browser successfully in our machine right now, in our mobile device. So we passed the driver capability, I mean executable file path, driver executable file, and we also gave the browser name. And we haven't given any URL, but the whole intention is to just the capabilities now. If the capabilities are successful, the Appium server should be able to launch the browser uh, with no tabs, at least with no URLs on your mobile device. So click run and job application. So go back to your mobile device and you should be able to see the Chrome browser getting launched. So now you saw this Chrome browser getting launched on your machine, right? So the next step would be to next step is to actually launch a browser on this. Okay, so that is our next interest. So let me get some browser and sit over here. Yes. So I would like to launch this URL on my mobile device now. Go back here, and from here all the methods will be the same what we have used for Selenium. Driver.get and then just give the URL so that it launches that particular URL for you. So if you run this particular code as our application, click on OK. Now instead of a blank page, it actually launches you the URL. Okay, it launched the website. Now let's just automate a small flow, so the rest would be good. You could actually handle this because you already learned Selenium a lot. And then we will move on to hybrid applications, and we have lots to cover: real mobile devices, iOS, and all these things. So I am not gonna concentrate more on this. I'll just automate 2 to 3 steps and then we will wind off this. Okay, so for this what I told you, I just go to your um, Chrome browser and launch this URL Chrome inspect / devices, pasting this in the chart window. So everyone could use that if I'll keep that handy. So now we got this Amazon page. In this Amazon page, I want to actually inspect this element. So search, get the properties of it. What are the unique properties of this? Oh god, it got killed. Click on inspect, and our interest is to enter something into this send Amazon. Okay, so the unique properties of this is search Amazon. I'll use placeholder as an attribute and construct an XPath with that. How do you construct an XPath? Driver dot find element by dot XPath. I'll say double forward slash star at the rate control V. What is the method to enter text? What's the
Send
method
keys.
to enter text?
Dot get text.
Dot
Send
send
keys.
keys.
And keys.
Yeah, send keys. So I'll say machine learning, and then I need to click on that search button, right? So after this, what I have to do is I should be able to click on this search button. Uh, I'll go with type is equal to submit. Control A, Control C, construct an XPath again, or value would go is something which is more precise, I guess. Value go. And say driver dot find element by dot XPath, and here we would be doing this double forward slash star at the rate value is equal to go, right? Dot click. So this should enter some value inside it, and then it should click on search button. So what we are trying to search here, and we are clicking on search button, and then display the value of these books, display the name of these books. Okay, so for that what I do is go back to your screen, get this thing. Could I even maximize this? What should be easy for you? So it's just a normal XPath that you could go ahead and do it. Okay, set this. We just have to go to H2. Okay, H2, and then these are like different book names that we will be getting. Okay, so use this method, use this XPath, and then identify all the book names. So I'll say driver dot, we're able to follow this, right? By dot XPath, and I'm giving that XPath name. Okay, so this is gonna return us list of web elements. Local variable, all names. This returns us a list of web elements. This XPath identified all the titles on this web page. It returned all the titles on this web page, and then we are iterating through each and every object and printing the name of the textbook. That's all what we are doing. So here I'll just iterate through this loop using for each loop, for each web element, each book title, and what is the list that we are iterating through. We are iterating through all books, and then we are just trying to print out the values of those books. It's out each book title dot get text. Okay, so now if I run this particular code, let's see what is output that we're actually getting. Run as Java application, click on OK. Let's open the browser. On the mobile device, you should be able to do all the things that we have discussed till now. So it launched the browser, it entered the text, and it should click on that search button now. It is throwing us an error. Value go is not an actual expected syntax. Okay, we placed it wrong. This is something which needs to be added. That's a syntax error of XPath. Right click, run as Java application. Look at that, it returned all the book names for us. Okay, hands-on machine learning and all these things is returned. So this is all about automating the browsers on your mobile devices. It's same like Selenium. The only thing that you need to know is what capabilities to be added uh, to the desired capabilities, and the rest all is looking same, right? So there is no change at all in the other things. Are we clear with this? Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now we are gonna move to real mobile devices. How to actually automate apps on real mobile devices is what we're gonna see now. We just have 20 minutes. Okay. One more thing I have to tell you is hiding the keyboard is something which needs to be mentioned here, which is not covered. Maybe we will cover this, and from tomorrow's session we will actually see how to actually work on real Android mobile devices. Because I have to connect my mobile device as well, so that you would be able to see that screen. So I'll be joining from mobile as well when I'm actually demonstrating the automation on real mobile devices. So for today, the last topic would be like how to handle keyboards. Like whenever we have some text boxes, you would see the keyboard, right, coming up. Keyboard comes up and you have to hide it. uh, where is the text box? So when this is coming up, when you want to hide this, okay, that's what we're gonna do now. So edit text box, and this is coming up automatically, right? So when you want to hide this keyboard, we have a syntax like driver dot uh, this is hide keyboard is what I feel. Let's see, driver.hide keyboard is what I'm thinking, but it gives us options. So how to actually hide that keyboard is something what we're gonna learn now. Mm, okay, here is a code. So we are clicking on default values, and then we are clicking on edit text preferences. This is like editing. Okay, when we click on edit text preferences, and when we clear that stuff, send case. Okay, here is where we will get that button. Let me comment the rest of the code. I'll push all this code to GitHub, and if you want to actually use that, you could use that. I'll provide you the link once all this code has been uploaded to GitHub for your purpose, for your future purpose. So I'm commenting this particular piece of code. Here, if I run this, even I have to comment this. I don't want this OK button as well. So the moment we enter something into that, we will see that what I mean to say, a keyboard, right? So let me run this and see the output.
What is the shortcut to comment all the
Control question mark. So now we got
control
this. uh,
control what?
Control question mark.
Okay. Okay.
So new text animal is it's what entered. Now we want to hide this keyboard. Okay. So to do that, we have driver dot hide keyboard is what I think. Not there. You could handle this in two ways. One is views, preferences, default values, edit text. So you could just do with a single black click or navigate back once, and driver dot, I hope they might have been deprecated this in the latest version I use. Hide keyboard Appium. Driver dot hide keyboard only. I don't know. Let's try. Oh god, why it is not showing in. I'm really not sure why it's not coming up in the auto suggestions, but let's just give it a try for this. Run as Java application, and the keyboard should get hidden. That's all. Okay, that's how we can hide a keyboard. It's not so complex thing or so important thing, but sometimes they may ask you how to hide a keyboard or how to click on, how to navigate back. Both of them will work over here. So the other thing is, you have seen scroll in mobile devices, right? You used new UI scrollable, new UI selector, and scroll into view. To that you passed text and its value, right? That's the syntax we have seen recently. When you want to scroll something on browsers, you have that JavaScript executor code, right? JavaScript executor. You have seen that in Selenium on how to actually scroll that. You have to create an instance for JavaScript executor, and then using that instance, you have to execute script. To that, you have to pass parameters like windows.scroll by, and if you want to find out the element, you could also pass the find element. So to keep it short, we use JavaScript executor to scroll the pages on web pages, and we use mm, what to say, we use this UI selector in uh, mobile devices when you want to scroll something. That's pretty much, and let me just give this as well. So we have a command called as adb devices. Okay, so when you say adb devices, it gives you the list of all the devices that got connected to your machine. So the only device that got connected or that is running in this device is emulator 554. Okay, when you actually work with real devices, when I connect my real device to this particular system, I will also see the name of my device coming over here, which is used as UDID for that particular device. Okay, for right now, the only device that got connected to my device is the emulator, and its name is emulator 554. That's an UDID of it, unique device ID. When I launch or when I connect my real device, it will also have some UDID that will be used to identify that particular device. So ADB devices is one such command. Okay, whenever ADB is not working, when you're running into any server errors related to ADB, you just need to do ADB kill server. This kills the server of ADB, and then to restart that, you have something called as start server. ADB kill server, ADB start server. Whenever you are facing any issues with ADB servers, um, ADB server, you just have to run this command so that it restarts the ADB. It restarts the server stuff. So those are like frequently used commands with ADB too. ADB kill server, restart server, start server, kill server, and ADB devices. So we use these ADB devices tomorrow to actually get in the next session, to actually get the unique device ID of the Android device that I'm connecting to my mobile device. So now we are done with native apps and also web apps on uh, on emulator. It works the same way on real devices as well, but only the way we connect to the devices changes. Again, we will not see large flow automation on real device. We will just connect to it, launch the browser, launch a particular app, and do some 2 to 3 small steps, and then we will leave over there. The rest all would be the same, like how we have done in this particular app. The same interaction, same click, same send key, same get text, same touch actions, and everything. So that's not so complex. The only important thing from now is like how to actually connect to different kinds of devices. So if time permits, we will see, we obviously will see how to connect to devices, to apps on real devices on iOS simulator as well. And then I'll just drive some overview of, framework overview. uh, how many of you in this session attended Selenium? Like, I see 21 participants over here. Can you just raise your hands? If just react with raise your hand to see how many of you attended for Selenium session. Only 6. Only 7. All right. I'll just walk you through like framework outer structure, how your framework will be created on, and I'll also drive you through what is Pace Factory and Pace Object Model and all these things. It's just like an outer note again. It's already been covered in Selenium. I don't know if you could go through the recording that is available with them or not.
Mohan, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So you said we test against different kind of devices like emulator or real
Mhm.
like handheld, but just wanted, I was curious about this operating system. So once we are automating, so for example, if my emulator I created of Android 11 or 12, so it's one operating system only, right? That version of Android that I'll keep on checking and automating my script, or do I have to like the same script will run for different versions of Android? That's what I wanted to ask. Or do we have to create different
No,
script?
no. For any kind of mobile devices, you will have only one script and one desired capabilities. It could be any Android app. I mean, any Android device specifically. You will not even change the capabilities. Let's say I have 10 Android devices. For 10 Android devices, the code will be the same, the desired capabilities will be the same. But the 11th device is iOS. Then the only change from these 10 devices to the 11th device is the desired capabilities. The rest of the Selenium code looks the same. So the rest of the Selenium code will be the same. Only the desired capabilities are gonna change. Instead of UI Automator 2, you will get XE UI test. You will get a different device name, and you also get a different file for installing, which is IPA file for iOS. So for same Android devices, for same Android, nothing will change. It doesn't depend on the version of Android you are using or something like that.
Okay. Okay. So one emulator will create, and against that we'll create the script.
Right.
And if we create like different versions of the app, like once in case it's in development and we keep on getting different versions of the app, so we'll put different desired capability there, we will change, or
No, no, no.
generally no.
When you get the updated app, you will get the updated APK file. That APK file has to be installed and run. That's all.
Okay. That's all. Okay. So while creating the script only, we will put that the latest file, the updated file, and sorry, the updated .apk, and then we'll create our script against that.
Right. We will
Okay.
move all these things into a configuration file. So none of the users will touch the script once it is developed. So if he or she wants to run this, uh, from with a different APK file, you will have a properties file, which is a kind of config file. There you will just change the APK file name or path, or you will point out to the new APK file so that it takes that APK file, installs it, and runs that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
So,
Excuse
when
me,
you
sir.
when you do,
Yeah.
can I ask? No.